It was an initiative, Kijima, my mom's company where she used to work. And she said, don't you want to join this? It's a volunteer program. It's going to look good on your CV. So I agreed and I enjoyed it. As a Christian, I really, really loved that. It was also a Christian environment, a God-fearing school. And I was so moved by that. And I brought in this one friend of mine that also wanted to be a teacher. She studied BCom marketing, but then developed a love for children and wanted to teach overseas. So I invited her into the program, and also my best friend, Nai, brought her in. And the three of us were working on this thing. And I took like this maths class, and the kids, they normal, barely average, except for this one boy. It was so quick and so easy for him to, this one boy, it was so quick and it was so easy for him to grasp everything. Fractions. He was able to easily just get basic concept. Well, at my age, I'm thinking they're basic. But to kids, they're still learning, and it's like a Saturday school, and he just got it. So while Mina, from the vantage point where I'm sitting, his fellow peers, from the vantage point where he was sitting, would not notice that he's special. When you are standing at a podium looking onto a crowd, you see the special glowing kid. And so teachers know when a kid has got advanced aptitude in comparison to other children, in that she grasps or he grasps concepts kalula. Ufundiseka kalula. Maths, it's easy for Yena to understand multiplication as soon as it is trained, while other kids you have to run through the mill for 3 days before they get it. And I had this teacher in grade 3, Mrs. Byrne. Yeah, because she burned me. She was my grade 3 teacher at Mayfair Convent, and she always used to call my mom on me. And I thought this teacher hated me because she was always yelling at me. Hello, teacher. She was always punishing me because I never did homework. I would go home and just sit on my books and go to school the next day with just the date underlined, nothing else done. And so I was always getting yelled at by Mrs. Byrne. And so one day she called my mom to school, and I was threatened with a beating in front of my fellow peers. Yo, my mom, and then the teacher, Mrs. Byrne, said to my mother, and I was surprised at how she was speaking about me. She was like, your daughter is very intelligent, but she is lazy. Yeah, I was shocked. The teacher said to my mom, your daughter is very intelligent, but she's lazy. I was expecting Mrs. Byrne to be like, she is just this little rubbish and I can't deal, because in the class she was always just giving me so much grief. But to my mom, she was more cordial, more decorous. Her language was more decorated, and she told my mom I'm very brilliant. She told my mom I'm brilliant, but I'm lazy. I was like, oh, like my ears peaked like that of a cat when it hears a sound it likes. And I was like, yo, she thinks I'm clever. Huh? Didn't know that. Basically, this woman, when she taught, I grasped concepts. When there were lessons in class being done, exercises that are done in class, I did well. But when then we had to take work home, honey, I'm not doing it. I'm sitting on it, breathing on it like it's some chicken eggs. I didn't do homework. I just literally refused. I would get home and just sit on my work. I didn't do homework. And she got frustrated with me and called my mom to school. And I found out then from that stage that, oh, apparently I'm smart. Okay. I could run with that, but I never changed. I carried on in my calloused demeanor. I was still that nasty little child, but I still loved being in a Catholic school. And Bible study was my favorite class, because it was easy and it had no homework. Okay, cool beans and banana peels. I never changed all throughout primary school. I was a frustration to my teachers. Listen, all the way up until grade 7. It just never stopped. Grade 8 also never stopped. And all my teachers, when they would bring my mom to the school complaining, even go Dumela, they called my mom. That's the school. I was like, oh, I don't know that. Because the way you be talking to me in class, lady, woo. The way you be out, you're ripping up my hand with that rod, woo. You clearly don't like me. Yo, but then when my mom would come in, they'd be like, yo, and so it was just generally known that apparently I am smart, but I'm lazy. It never changed, and that was the ringing tone all throughout primary school. I never changed, but when I get to primary school was when I was looking for attention with all those random self-harming events. Grade 7, I decide that, listen, we're not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. Grade 8, I'm in high school. Still lazy. Still the bane of teachers' existence. Still not doing homework. Still kind of challenging. But I'm passing with 60% in spite of that. In spite of studying, just lazing through my work the night before, I'm getting 60%. So at the end of grade 8, basically my New Year's resolution for 1999. I was in grade 8 in 1998. Yeah, I'm that old, honey. I'm that old. I is a geezer. 1988, I was in grade 8. And I made a New Year's resolution in 1998, entering into 1999, that this year I'm going to exploit the apparent truth that I'm smart. if I can get on the honors roll. I want to see if I can perform. If I can push past this 60%, this 58%. So I decided that I'm going to study. I'm going to invest in my books. I made a decision in myself that every day when I get homework, I'm gonna do it. And when it's time for exams, I'm gonna study. And when it's assignments, I'm gonna do them not in advance. I could never do it in advance. It was always kind of at the last minute, but nonetheless, there was quite a lot of effort in that last minute. Yo, I'm like a bird, I'm gonna fly away. I flew, I soared, and I realized that my teachers were right. I was so excellent in grade 9 that parents' evening, I wanted my mom to go to school. Our homeroom teacher was the teacher was typing, and I made my mom go to school, and she went. And this teacher told my mom, "Oh my goodness, your daughter, she's so lovely. Oh, she's so clever. Oh, she's so smart. And she's so beautiful." Yo, this woman sang such praises that I was like, woo! But I knew she was singing praises because she loved me and my friends because we were performing. Every time we come into class, she'd be like, "You're so beautiful girls." Because what you call this thing? All the other classes like accounting, maths, all the teachers that she went to. The teachers there, Mrs. Peters, the one that used to call kids rubbishes. Mrs. Peters was like, "Oh, your daughter is such a wonderful little child. I love her." And Mrs. Peters gave no one praises, baby, but I got him. Because I killed it in accounting. I was passing and I was passing well. I was at 86% every year at the end of the term. I was at my mela. I was killing it. I was killing it. And so because I was killing it, I was in the clever class, the boffin class in grade 10 when we took our electives. And I pretty much maintained that trajectory even in grade 10. But then got grade 11, the color jola, and I dropped the ball and messed with my matric results. Because then I just never ever gained the ball again because of bad influence. But I did experiment with my intelligence to see that it's true. Was what Mrs. Burns said true? And it turned out to be true. So while my mom did not care that I was smart and thought that I was just something to be ignored above my sister of which understand was just this like genius, right? When my sister was so smart that when I went to Sir John Adamson High and they were like, "Karabo Shongwani, are you related to Sister Gail Shlongwani?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." Oh, they just looked at me like, "Oh, Sisi Nana." Because my sister was so clever. She was always on the honors roll. And in grade 8, I was like a damper in their step. I was an anticlimax. Because I rocked up and I was underperforming. I was not doing homework and they were like, "Yo, they might have come from the same kennel, but baby, they ain't made right in the same space. They might have come from the same womb. Somebody ought to be getting the leftovers. I see. Yeah, proper teachers would ought to be like, "Are you this person's sister?" And I was like, "Yeah." And initially they'd be all excited about me. And then I just dropped the ball. They were like, "Yo, rubbish, that one. She's not like her sister." "It's okay, it's fine, ma'am. It's fine." Until I got to grade 9. I'm in. Until I got to grade 9, I'm in. And when then I was in grade 9, listen, it was evident that I was my sister's sister. It was evident that I was my sister's sister. But then, like I said, I dropped the ball in grade 11. So I had 2 years of glory in the sun shining with distinctions. And then I dropped the ball in grade, like who drops the ball in grade 11? Who? I did that. But anyway, whatever. Nonetheless, I still passed with an exemption. Got to Wits, but I did not get to do the degree that I wanted to do. I wanted to study financial maths. It didn't work out because listen, my results, okay. I ended up just having to downsize and I did a BCom ultimately and yeah, whatever. Cool beans, I'm on appeals. That's not the story of the day. What I'm trying to get at is that God helped me understand that I was smart. So that was the first thing. I was helped understand by the Lord that I was actually clever, though nobody appeared to care. And then beauty, I thought I wasn't much. My mom didn't think I was pretty. I was dark and my best friend was a yellow bone and she was always the one chosen to do little pageants in the kasi. It was my teacher in grade 6 or 7, stand corrected, homeroom, that encouraged me to join Miss Winchester Ridge Primary, that made me see that I was pretty enough for her to select me among the girls. And I came top 5, so I felt nice and confident about that. And then when I was in high school, because I was tall and skinny, I was always getting asked by people, "Why don't you join Face of Africa? You look like a model, you look like a model." And I grew into my body. I essentially became that little girl that when you go and see her next year, same time, yo, she looks like a woman. And it's like, yeah, how does a child that looks so bland, so plain, turn up so cute just after 1 year? So pretty. When you start to become into a woman, you get beauty, dog. When you start to grow into a woman, a relatively bland looking teenage child, not teenage, but a relatively bland looking preteen kid turns up so fly, dog, later on, just 2 years in the in grade 9, nebang pizza dairy, you know. I told you guys in one of my other videos that I once got a breast reduction because I felt like my boobs were too big and that they were like just giving me grief. Well, in grade 8 in grade 8 and even grade 9, maybe at dairy. Because I had boobs for days. So I was shapely too. But I didn't like the dairy. I didn't like it. People seemed to appreciate it, but I didn't care for it. Because I just felt like, listen, I want them smaller. Maybe it's because I wanted my sister's boobs that were frankly non-existent. I felt like hers were better than mine. But I didn't appreciate the rack. And I chopped it down later on in life. A type establishment thing, but I was called dairy from grade 8 to grade 9. They stopped calling me dairy. I don't know why. Maybe it's because everybody else got their boobs. In grade 8, I already had mine, because I guess they grew first. And everybody else was kind of flat-chested, but then in grade 9 and 10, all the other girls grew theirs. And so we all evened out, and so they stopped calling me in particular dairy. But despite being dairy, I used to get asked if I'm a model, if I should whatever, because I was tall and skinny. And I got popular with guys and with girls, in the sense that girls that were in younger grades used to look up to me. Hi, Karabo, whatnot, just kind of following me around. And it was that popularity with just frankly, just general popularity that made my life so nice. It was just so much easier. And also winning respect from teachers because I was performing in class. It made my life so nice. My mom didn't care about me, but I didn't care because I was happier in high school than I was in primary. I was gaining attention in other places, and that was enough. Also, because I was smart, right next to looking like a model, it didn't matter. You know the saying in the modeling industry that clothes hang better on a tall and skinny frame. Well, you can make anything look good on a skinny tall girl, even if it's just really nasty. Frumpy stuff be actually looking great on skinny girls. They wear hoodies and just baggy pants, and they just look so good because they're so thin. Yeah. But if you go and you grab the same baggy attire and you put it on a bulky woman, and you know, a little bit of a beefier lady. I hate these words. If you put the same baggy outfit on a thicker lady, it looks not so great. It doesn't look that good. So I agree, clothes do hang better on a skinny frame such that you can make all different kinds of bizarre designs look good, and you can get away with murder for being untalented as a designer. Because you be out here hanging your clothes on some skinny chicks. And my school uniform, remember I told you, my jersey, I had drip dried it, and so now it had lost its elasticity and it was hanging more like a short dress on my body as opposed to a jersey that is snug, that fits properly. And I roamed around in school with this mohodu jersey for a good 2 years before I finally went to Lost and Found and got a new jersey. After drip drying my jersey that was also oversized and kind of lingering off my shoulders, I walked around with that shirt dress jersey and my school uniform that was frankly kind of shiny because I used to iron on the surface of it. I walked around with my school uniform looking all that nasty, and it was irrelevant. With my also oversized blazer, it was irrelevant. Why? Because I was skinny and I was tall, and clothes just hung really well on my body. So I got away with the murder of having uniform that was uncatered to. I looked fashionable. It was like it was a trend, and I never was ever teased other than by my friends who used to call each other Momohodu. I was never ever teased for my school uniform being out of whack. It never lost me favor or attention with the guys. My uniform was never ever regarded as what do you call this? That belonging to a poor child or a kid whose mother doesn't care for her. It looked as if though I was just carefree. And yeah, so my jersey got a little bit of a stretch on it. So what you gonna say, what you gonna do? I was popular enough for that to be something that people just glided over like it ain't jack. Like, it didn't matter. And my school uniform be out there just dangling on me like it's a curtain. Because I was so waif-like. I was so skinny. So it worked. And that's how I was able to get away with that most heinous, treacherous uniform up until I got to grade 10/11 and I went and procured for myself new uniform from Lost and Found. And then when I got the new uniform from Lost and Found, I established a brand spanking new look then. What I was gunning for on that day was to look like Cher or Dion in Clueless. It was my most inspirational movie and my favorite of all time. And they had brought it to the TV screen, the small screen, from the silver screen. And they brought it down to the small screen, right? And I kept on watching it. She is literally the Polaroid of perfection. She has everything and she'll give it to you in a second. Looks can deceive. She wears a heart on her sleeve. She'll steal you away, not just the one day. Every day is an ordinary day. In her world, she's an ordinary girl. Remember that? She is literally the Polaroid of perfection. She has everything and she'll give it to you in a second. Looks can deceive. She wears a heart on her sleeve. She'll steal you away, way, way. Not just the one day. Every day is an ordinary day. In her world, she's an ordinary girl. I was a fan of Clueless, and so I made my uniform like Clueless outfits. It was indeed school CI, but my blazer, I made it like a cute little mini coat. Like, you know those coats that don't necessarily come up to there? Blazers be actually coming up to there. I got a small little blazer from Lost and Fun that came only up to there. And it was snug and fitted around my body. And it was also not down to my bum, but pretty much just below my waist. So it looked like a small little, you know, cutesy coat. And then my skirt came to my knees. And our skirts were pleated, so it just worked out. And then when you wear that with socks, and then you make your shirt long sleeve in winter pop out of from underneath the blazer, creating like a little bit of a flare. You've got an outfit, yeah, share. Like, listen. So I made my uniform like that, and like what Clueless, you see all these things in my hair. I've always just loved putting accessories in my hair because in the movie Clueless, there was so much fashion over there, and the kids in the schools, they had like pom-poms and whatnot. So I would go to little stores when I had little two ball, and I would buy pom-poms and I would put them in my hair. Insofar as they were black or navy, like school uniform, nobody's gonna give me grief. And I bought the pin that were like that so that I could create for myself hairstyles that look like shit. I used to twist up my hair and make it look some kind of way because Nikibatla cute. And there was also this like Asian chick in the school with her like white friend that were also killing it with like a Clueless vibe. And I was low-key looking up to them. They were like 2 grades higher than us. I was always looking up to them once I'm listening, like Sharon Dion. So if I could be like those 2 chicks, I'm good. And so I copied their hairstyles, even though it was using relaxed hair as opposed to white hair or Asian hair or Chinese hair. And I would also deliberately go to little stores to go and buy hair ties that have got little pom-poms on them. So I could look like these 2 beautiful girls in grade 11. And indeed, I succeeded. They were my role models, and I made it. Okay, so I gained the clout that I was looking for, and it made my home life easier. It made my mom's apathy easier. It made just basically getting through the day, raising myself and living, surviving, getting mode to mode, spot to spot. It made going from mode to mode, spot to spot easier. She was so apathetic that in spite of that teacher that told her, your daughter is so excellent, she still forgot. My mother did not know what grade I was in grade 8. I've said this before. Not in grade 8. She did not know what grade I was in high school, other than when I was in grade 8 because it was the first year of school, and matric because it was the last. In the middle, I was either in grade 10 or grade 11 or grade 9. That's how much she didn't care. What grade are you in exactly? Grade 10? 9? Eh? Only grade 8 and matric she knew. And listen, there's only 5 grades in high school. How are you gonna forget all that? And when my little sister was born, it was essentially the worst day of my life, but also a relatively decent day because I loved her, I adored her. Whatever little mild, meager, frankly infinitesimal and microscopic attention I might have gotten from her completely evaporated, and she gave it all to her. So then I was out on a limb entirely. I tried to survive her. I tried to do better. Do you understand? I tried to ignore the pain, but at some point it was just so poignant and stark and beating like a pulsating beast that I couldn't ignore it because it really afflicted me, thanks to the outcomes that it brought into my life. Like when I was 20 years old and I had to drop out of school because she wasn't paying my fees though she was working. That drove me to near suicide again. And I only stayed alive because one of my girls in high school said that when people commit suicide, they go to hell. And that's the only thing that kept me from committing suicide during that time. Following which, like I said, you only need one person to help you along. I got a learnership, and I then was able to conquer the depression. Essentially, she's only ever been, after grade 7, she was only ever able to really get to me. If at all, I had nothing else, and she just didn't care that I was out on a limb and needed help. I've seen my mother award opportunities to other people's children and not me. Like, it's just the weirdest thing. But you see, what it is that she is as a result of just letting yourself get taken by anything and anyone and trying to run out blissfinnig of an environment that is oppressive to you, and then you just marry anything. My mother became what she is because of my dad and many other men. I survived her only when I was independent. I made myself not care that she didn't care. But then when I was gawking at no one but her in the eye, and I was bereft of resources as a result of her apathy, that's when I got suicidal. And lo and behold, look, I'm hanging out now in 2026, having commenced this journey in 2014, recovering to that place where post grade 7, wearing a stoicism that would help me survive apathy on the part of someone whose attention I really wanted. I've been brought back to it again, where I've been driven back to the depths of despair as a result of someone that ought love me but just doesn't. And when I was 20, it lasted only 6 months, and in that time I nearly died, evidencing just how destructive people being an Nabantu are. I love the saying that I once heard from Perry Stone's show. I'm prophetic, so I listen to people who prophesy. So anyone that is out here passing shade to Perry Stone, I don't care. I'm happy to listen to prophecy. I was listening to Perry Stone speaking, and they were talking about depression, suicide, and he said over there that suicide is a permanent solution for a temporary issue. It just put so much warm oil over me because it was frankly the veracity of everything I have ever endured in my life that made me want to die. The situation was always temporary, and I, by the grace of God, did not take myself out. And so I came to learn finally, hallelujah, that if I had, listen, I would have gone to Hades once I got born again. That dawned on me. And secondly, I would never have known the Lord. And thirdly, I would never have finally enjoyed so much prosperity after a season of despair as I enjoyed in my career in corporate when I was working. I was in a temporary situation that made me want to drown myself in a bathtub. And within mere weeks, I got called by a learnership, by Liberty Life, and told you have successfully interviewed for the program. Come and report for duty on this date. But I was so melancholic, so depressed. My circumstances were so yawning, all this despair. And one time I wanted to drown myself in a tub. Friends' comment in high school kept me alive for at least another day. And then another day and another day and another day. I remember crying to my mother, going to her, on some I'm depressed because I finally told her. I hoped that she would see that I am not okay. But she ignored me. So here is this woman raising a new child without caring about me. I finally told her I'm depressed. I think I'm gonna die. I finally told her I'm depressed. I think I'm going to die. I did it again. Last year, at December, when she and my sister were all up in my grill, I was like, y'all don't even know that I've been ideating suicide all this time. And she's just ramped up her incendiary activity. She's just always done that. But back then, she did not act this way because I was not yet Christian, so she was not as bizarre as she is now. And so since I was on her medical aid, she took me to a therapist. This therapist, some Indian lady that was so worried about me. I remember her asking me, if at all you don't get this opportunity with Liberty Life, what are you gonna do? Are you still gonna wanna die? And I said to this lady, it's not an option, I'm gonna get it. I have to. I didn't give an answer. I left that shrink all concerned that this kid is gonna kill herself. Bet she's wondering to this day if I survived, because I only saw her twice and never went back. I got the opportunity, but I told this woman, it's not an option, I don't even want to consider it. I have to get it. But what if you don't get it? I have to get it. Listen, I said this to the shrink. What if you don't get it? I have to get it. What if you don't get it? I have to get it. What if you don't get it? I have to get it. Okay, Karabo, well, the session is over now. I'll see you again next week. She could not get me to answer her, giving her Karabo ya I guess I told the opportunity in. I flat out told her, I have to get it. Or what? Okay, listen, I'm gonna say I'm gonna kill myself, but I just have to get it. I'm not gonna say what else is gonna happen if I don't get it. I just have to. Yeah, and I did. I got it. Perhaps that was an arrogant me speaking because I wasn't saved. But God Almighty also knew that I had to get it because I was pushed to the nth degree of myself to a point of nearly drowning myself in a tub. God knew that if I didn't get that opportunity, I was finally gonna do it. And the Lord has always rocked up to salvage me from the precipice of death each and every single time all throughout my life. And the other day, you know, in baking, how they've got this thing that when you are making, for instance, when you're chopping up nuts on a tray and then you want to scoop them and put them in your baking, in your dough, there's this like flat thing that kind of scoops them and kind of like sweeps them in. It looks like a tray. It looks like a dustpan, but for picking up baked goods on a surface in order to put all of them in one particular space. You can also use it as something to cut your cinnamon rolls in sections. I had a vision the other day, a dream. I don't know if it was a dream or a vision or I was just like awake or about to sleep. Where it is that there was this woman wearing bright white robes in my dream. And all of a sudden she was standing near a railing, do you understand? The one that, a railing barricade, the one that blocks cars from essentially falling over too much onto gravel. Like, you know, those like railings, I don't know what to call them, to shock absorb vehicles losing balance or control. This way instead of just falling over. This woman was standing right there, and then next thing, something that thing that is used to chop up nuts when you're baking, it came and literally cut her in the middle. It just came like a projectile from out of nowhere and just cut her in the center, ending her life. I had that dream or that vision a good 2 times, and I was like, yo God, look at what they're trying to do. I understood what it meant. It meant cutting a person's life slap bang in half, and that woman wearing white robes evidenced a Christian woman. But it was not me. Of course, it was a symbol of me. God was showing me that they keep on doing rituals to try and end your life. And if you were to die today, it would be like cutting your life in short, because this is how long you still have to go. This is the journey you still have to walk. But I had a very dark dream where a woman wearing white robes was cut in the center by that thing that you used to scoop up nuts when you just chop them on a board to put them in your dough, evidencing that it is essentially the cutting in half of that which is baked goods like bread. It's food. It's the work that I am doing. They're trying to cut this here work short by cutting me short. I woke up and I prayed, of course. It's all I can do, but this is the nature of spiritual war. So if at all the Lord will preserve me and protect me now today when I'm like intentionally being pursued for suicide, where before it was just benign neglect, how much more is he going to protect me now that I am in him? If at all, he salvaged me from the precipice of suicide when I was 20, when I was 11, when I was 10 going on 12, when I was just a child. Now that I'm born again and I wouldn't call myself a seasoned Christian, but I'm kind of like, I'm mature in the Lord to a certain extent. How much more now that I know the things of the one who kept me safe back then, how much more now is he going to preserve me? And especially now that my death would come about as a result of intentional murder of my person, whereas before it was just neglect. It was benign neglect. Now it is intentional murder. Now it's first degree. How much more will I stay alive because I know that people are trying to kill me? How much more? How much more? Back when I didn't know if God existed, I nearly died, but I didn't die because I was scared that he might exist and that suicide might take me to hell if hell does exist. And I would have found out that it's true. It exists if I had ended my life. God kept me alive 6 more years to finally get born again and realize that, listen, I dodged a bullet. I dodged bullets of self-harm. But that's something that is a challenge in me, that the devil is always trying to exploit. And for as long as I'm in this position, he will always try to get at me by suicide, because in so very many other facets, I'm too careful. In so many other respects, I'm too careful. I don't just throw myself on the laps of ugly people. I don't just immerse myself in crazy company. I'm not gullible, I'm not credulous, I'm too smart. So all that the devil has with me is suicide. All Satan has with me is what all of y'all call the worst case scenario, because it's not ideal. You would rather I cave. You would rather I join a secret society. You would rather, because you think I'm smart enough to be one of y'all, you would rather I do whatever it is that is a middle ground. You want to negotiate with me. But I am so incredibly sutured and so intelligent that now all you got is what you will call the worst case scenario. It's not ideal, but carrying on at this rate, we can't have it carry on. Therefore, while we don't want her dead because we kind of like her, she can't carry on. She won't sleep with any of us. She won't allow any of our monitors in her life. She won't allow any of our crazy little gnarly, most beastly, ugly, catatonic handlers to handle her. And happy she has a way about finding peace. So we need to just keep on a loop like a hamster on a wheel to end her life. Though listen, it's not ideal. When you look at the death of people as not ideal, you no longer value the sanctity of human life. You no longer care about making sure that people don't die. You can never ever come to meet people where they're at precisely because you want to preserve their lives. Now death is a necessary what you call evil because it's not ideal, but if she is maintained in being stubborn, she gotta go. Entropy, disambiguation, second law of thermodynamics, can do no other thing but just bomb in the end and cease to exist. You are on a downward spiral of so much heinous murder where you regard the death of human beings that are still perfectly salvageable, alive and healthy as a necessary evil because they're coming all up in your grill. Yeah, they're coming all up in your nostrils trying to disturb whatever peace you are walking in. And when you look at these people that are here to apparently disturb an apparent peace, you will realize that they're on a humanitarian cause to preserve the sanctity of human life and the value of our free thought, free communication, free speech, that we might all have an ability to recover from oppression and tyranny when it rises up, because there's enough people with different opinions. At the moment you give people absolute power, you know that it corrupts absolutely. And this here person is trying to dissolve all such structures of bringing power into one mere mortal's hands, because listen, human beings cannot handle power just by themselves. That's why democracies are so important, and that's why democracy is born from saints. Martin Luther, though he might not have imagined that that's what ultimately his reformation would bring forth, is responsible for democracy, divorced of course from the original idea by several degrees of separation. Democracy is important in order that Matthew 10 might not end the world. The Lord has come upon the earth to bring peace. Not peace, but a sword. 2 in one household will be against 3. And from now on, a man's enemies will be members of their own households. So therefore, there will always be division of ideas in society. And that is exactly what keeps them healthy. Because the moment you come in unison with one accord about what you want to do, according to God's word in the book of Genesis, in the building of the Tower of Babel, there is no end as to what wickedness you can then achieve. So therefore, God has to divide your speech. And so Babel done happens. You get scattered across the world, and all of y'all got different languages now. And so because you got different languages, you're not going to bring about entropy. But God ultimately lets you build the Tower of Babel, get to almost the nth degree of itself in the tribulation. All other attempts in the run-up to in history will be disbanded by God. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And while it's not comfortable to be in disunity, it nonetheless keeps the earth as a going concern. It makes sure that we don't implode, because some people's ideas are just catastrophic. And if at all one person is divided against a million, but this one person is the only one that has power, while all the million are in peasantry, he will eliminate all of them and live in this dystopian, myopic mindset of a world where he's the only person alive. Human beings are not sufficiently righteous and sufficiently pure to truly have full support monarchies. And that's why monarchs get brought down. That's why there's now a whole government now in the one kingdom on earth that still remains. Well, it's not the one. I think in Switzerland they still have a kingdom, but you get my point. In the UK, there's a government, and largely the voice that we're listening to speaking is that of Keir Starmer, not so much of Prince Charles. Monarchs in and of themselves knew, and they saw that insofar if they want to be maintained as a kingdom, they have to allow for democracy. And so carry on with your lineage, and people out here priding themselves in the glory of having a kingdom in the country. But people gotta vote for who they want in power. And those who influence power must be those that are democratically elected. Otherwise, you will be overthrown. You will be couped. So they did a great thing there in the UK to maintain their royal lineage. They allowed for government. But if at all you're gonna have an elitist group of people trying to run the world and they're the only ones with power, you will be overthrown. You will be brought to the stake. You will be beheaded. You will ultimately be revolutionized against until people replace you. It happened in Iran, and it's going to happen in so very many other countries until there is enough democratization of all of our nations for there to be a feasible mark of the beast implemented in every last country, because everybody is now industrialized. Because in the forging of democracies, you then also succeed to bring forth so much freedom that industry can thrive. People who are holding on to a despotic regime, or even things that structures like communism, want to maintain power in their own hands, that they might control the masses. But when you allow for free market trade and growth, industrial, basically democracy, you basically avail opportunity to everyone who is willing to work with their hands and so amass wealth. So anyone can become rich, and everyone that wants to gather dust on a couch will inevitably end up poor, because it's a capital market. It's a free capital market. When then you take away all that, and in communism you want to give them stipends, you want to feed them, you want to shove potatoes down their throat, and that only. Potatoes, if anything, are a luxury. More like rice, you're going to get a revolt. You're going to get a coup. You're going to get overrun. So societies that are this draconian and despotic, you crash and you burn. Never mind societies, but organizations that operate in secret, clandestine, and shadow estates, like secret societies. You trying to run the whole world and looking at the rest of us like we're deplorables. Oh my goodness. Throughout history, you've just been crashing, haven't you? And throughout history, where you've just been burning, haven't you? It's because you're despotic and you get found out. And when you get found out, we get governments actually trying to pour you out like some milk on a kitchen counter, spilling you, making you start from scratch, making you out to go back to the drawing freaking board. So this here person that you're trying to eradicate, I am only trying to stand for that which has not been broken all this time, but they're trying to fix it. Democracy, free speech. I'm trying to stand for freedom of religion. Those which are the tenets, frankly, of Christianity. That which enabled for Christianity to finally thrive without too much war. Democracy and freedoms of expression, religion, and just about everything else, within reason, of course. I'm fighting for just that. And these things appear basic to embrace, because aren't we living in democratized societies? Except, listen, not really truly are we. Not really truly are we. Because in the shadows, you're banning Christians. You're censoring us. I liked the speech that J.D. Vance gave a couple of years ago, or was it weeks, where he was lamenting against Western society, the European Union, essentially. So it was weeks ago, not years. No, it was weeks. And in his laments, he was saying, y'all are going down a strange rabbit hole, and you need to cease hostilities against yourselves, because you are walking in the very things that tend to destroy societies. You are censoring people, and you've got a policy of censorship and open borders. And so your whole entire Europe is falling apart because of this. And it is no wonder you therefore cannot even stand with us when we try to go and fight for the liberty of America against the threat of Iran. I was like, oh, J.D. Vance, look at you go. I wasn't too much of a fan because he's slightly anti-Semitic, but I'd be feeling that speech. Oh, hi, D. When people start to censor free speech, and of course, not take care of the integrity of your own culture, by just letting anyone come in, and then you allow the disillusion of that which made you who you are, like Christian nations across Europe are to be getting Islamified. It's why you fall apart, and it's why you don't even want to come together with Donald Trump to find an alternative solution for the Strait of Hormuz. What in the world is going on over there? With it being blocked by Iran, leaving only like certain countries like China to go through there. A bypass for the Strait of Hormuz. They are to be rebuffing Trump, but ultimately they came to the party, didn't they? Because you're the ones that benefit from the Strait of Hormuz being open and available. As European nations, you gain 10% of your oil from there, whereas America only like 2%. So frankly, this war that we're fighting is only ever, if we win, it's gonna benefit you. But you don't want to come to the party? They rebuffed Trump. But I gotta get you look at Donald Trump has been chosen by God. You'll be rebuffing a person you don't want to work with because demons are all up and gnawing away at you like some maggots in a corpse. But ultimately, when you are to shoot your own selves in the foot and lose an eye while you're at it, when you shoot yourselves in the foot and then lose an eye also, because listen, you're very destructive, you're very masochistic that way, then you will finally align with the right people that are trying to preserve the sanctity of your countries. People are just divorcing themselves from sober thought. Why are European countries not trying to join in to fight this tyrannical, terroristic Iranian regime that's actually just dropping bombs everywhere. Ultimately, there has been coalition of nations, even in the Middle East, that are telling Iran, stop bombing everybody. I spoke about UAE, Turkey, Saudi, what is this, Bahrain, even Turkey. I've made mention of Turkey, Jordan, Egypt, like so many countries coming together in a joint statement, a joint alliance to say stop bombing all these other countries. Finally, they came to the party while before they were standoffish. Because look, Iran is being ridiculous, the regime anyway. And then there are the European nations that ought indeed, for it is within their best interest, especially because of the blockage at the Strait of Hormuz. They finally came to the party. But first they were what? Resisting. Why? Because every single time God is uprooting a structure, there will be unreasonable and irrational resistance to uprooting it, though it makes all different kinds of sense for everyone involved to come to the party, to uproot the structure. They will strangely be rebuffy, like they rebuffed Trump, in trying to find an alternative solution for the Strait of Hormuz. A bypass, essentially, potential. Building it with like military infrastructure and everything. Yeah, I've been listening to some very clever people, so I sound clever too. But I got all this from Steve Turley, right? Yeah. Western nations like the UK and Italy and France, whatnot, they came to the party finally. But why aren't they coming to the party? Because this here is not only an obvious moral war you ought to engage in, but also economic. It just makes all kinds of sense. It's not sustainable what's going on. And prices of oil will never come down unless some solution is found. When the Iranian regime falls, chances are the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open again. Not chances, definitely. But how long is that going to take? And what is that going to then mean for oil prices across the world? It's all very ridiculous. It's giving what's going on right now. Right? Yeah. But people don't want to join causes that they ought to join because the devil is standing in the way. The God of this world is blinding the minds of unbelievers. He's making you irrational and self-foot shooty and eye-plucking duty. Yeah, because I also had to rhyme over there. He's making you plug out your own eyes. You don't be making no kind of sense. You're so self-destructive. You're masochistic. You're blinding your own selves. You're shooting your own selves in the foot. You're shooting your own knees. You're making yourselves paraplegics. You are ascertaining that your own bodies are not going to be able to run on the patch anymore. So what I'm standing for are all the right things. And yet there are people trying to maintain their dystopian, nightmarish, most ghoulish, Frankensteinic model of building the world in their own image, and all that it's giving all the day long is Nazi Germany. It's Russia. It's Stalin's Russia. It's oppressive regimes that are very cruel, but you're operating in the shadows. And so going down in history with structures of that nature, how are you ever going to win? How are you ever going to win no matter what, like you're a rapper? How? You're just not going to make it, you know what I'm saying? It's giving gurgling blood all the day long. That's where you're headed. And so granted, that's the thing. The devil will fight like an ninja and try to kill people that are utterly important. But you're not going to make it, you're not going to win, because God knows how to bring people into a party. The European nations ought to not realize that, oh my goodness, look at the chokehold. It's blocking our economies. Prices of gas are rising. I guess, Trump, we have stopped rebuffing you. Let's talk about a bypass for the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, let's have a chat, Trumpy. Why was this not obvious before? It ought to have been. And yet, for some strange reason, it just went foo right over their heads. It's because the fall of Iran and the essentially potential of the bypass of the Strait of Hormuz is going to bring forth a new paradigm in the world that's going to set the right structures free, and so loose the braziers around the bosoms of the earth, that they might just let them hang and be comfortable, at least for a season, enough for the gospel to thrive. And that's what Satan is blocking, and so he's making people really irrational. But it's okay, because when all that irrationality is thriving in the planet, we just pray. Yeah, we be getting down on them knees and getting them nice and airy and ashy. We just pray. It's not gonna fly. It's not gonna work. I was given things that helped me along to see that people are mistaken about me. It etched in a certain character, and now today it's coming in nice and handy. It's helping me along. So God has prepared me in advance to endure murderous little psychopathic, homicide-y, like just beastly gangsters that can't afford to end me in themselves, because then they're going to be living like the people in the show Mortal Engines, eating a Twinkie from 2017 when you're in the year 3099, and then saying, oh, the food of the ancients was frankly and practically indestructible. Just like in the show Sweet Tooth on Netflix, you be trying to make hybrids instead. Okay. You be trying to make hybrids that you think are cute, but like, listen, they're unredeemable. They can't go to heaven. But because they're a mixture of a really great beast and a person, they're going to be superhuman, and so better than what we presently are, until what Christ did on the cross doesn't apply to you. Oh, sweet Tothian hybrid you. You glamorize grand trash and then realize, oh, I shouldn't have done it, because now look at me eating a Twinkie in a dystopian, nightmarish ecosystem. It's ghoulish. But hey, I'm eating a rotten, unrotten Twinkie because the food of the ancients is practically indestructible. The food of the gospel is practically indestructible. It works in and out of season. It's a double-edged sword. Quickening, able to separate between bone and marrow, soul and spirit. And whether you're in year 3099 or you're hanging out in 2026, it'll quicken you anyway. So you will listen to this video with trickles of tears down your eyes in year 2094. That some chick in 2026 said the world would look like this because we wouldn't hearken to the cross. And we ended her. We ended them. We drove the church underground. Now look at the world. It's a dystopian nightmare. Artificial intelligence has reached singularity. You are trying to put yourself in a nightmare. Listen, you are gonna miss trees like Louis Armstrong that are green, red roses too. You ain't gonna see them bloom for me and you. Listen, it's gonna be ancient. And then you think to yourself, what a world, what a wonderful world we used to have. So much disaster caused by you, dystopian, nightmarish human beings that are not stopping yourselves from entropy. You're not staying yourselves with a restrainer. That's what the Bible calls us, restrainers. Those who are indwelt by the Holy Spirit. Until you are living in a space where your McDonald's fries from 2016, listen, you're like eating them now that is 2038. Because don't nothing over there rot. Yeah. And then say, the food of the ancients was frankly indestructible. So eat, you're not gonna die. Don't know what they put in them, but dog, you gonna make it. I promise, just eat. So now your stored food are like McDonald's meals that just never rot. You will finally read the Bible. But God is not going to let that happen because it's not biblical. He will be the one to control the outcome of events by providence. He will ascertain that which must stay alive in order to function as a hindrance to the plans of most diabolical men on earth and women is a thing. I'm not going anywhere. Like Gideon and 300 men, we might be few, but frankly, we are the end of you. We might be few, but we are the end of you. You're naive, O Midianite collective. You're naive, O Midianite, working with these nasty raiders in the wilderness, otherwise called Amalekites, known as Amalekites. You're naive to think you're going to take us. God will take you, and to bring glory to himself, he will ascertain that you get taken through just a meager 200 Christians. And then it's going to be like, oh snap, listen, they took us. Because we thoroughly thought we could bring about that dystopian, entropified world, immortal angels, immortal engines. This is really blind. As a coalition of nations in Europe that just don't care about the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is shut like some eyes when you're sleeping. And that's messing with your economy and not so much the US. Yeah, you will pop them open, baby. You will wake up in the morning yawning and everything with an alarm screaming at the top of your head and your best friend giving you a very hard knock, like intense espresso just to get you a nice little boost now that you've woken up. Before you even drink coffee, you will take that shot. Cause honey, you gotta wake up. It's a minute. You're writing an exam today. Don't you see it? I don't care that you barely slept, but you're gonna miss your exam. And the Lord knows how to wake you up on a phone. Do you understand? Because what you're doing, you can't carry on. Big business bosses, I'm a tech giants. Ipswich, that yes, fine, we've made lots of money, but this year we can't carry on. They can't. They won't. Why? The same reason that European countries could not ignore the shutting of the Strait of Hormuz long enough to rebuff Trump. Because they're trying to make it look like Trump is arrogant. No, he is the most successful president that has ever existed in the 21st century. Let's just put that out there. Listen, anywhere, never mind in America, but across the world. I guess that's why you're passing him shade, because you all know you ain't gonna go down in history like him. So you passing him shade, but I mean, given that he has got God behind him, you're gonna ultimately join the party and give the guy credit where it's due. Because given that he's chosen by God, you're gonna have beef with him for no reason. Just like people had beef with me for no reason. When I was on the come up, Donald Trump might not be a Christian yet, just like me back in the day, and yet, however, I was spared from a bullet also grazing my ear, but as opposed to my ear, it was that event that I just told you about now. Angels of God, of course, rocked up to the party over there to ascertain that somebody was safe. And when then the devil sees that, he will cause people to be at odds with you unnecessarily. He will cause people to disagree with you even though it don't make no kind of sense. He will cause people to be at odds with you and go the opposite direction when the one that you are on is the only one that is feasible to go on. And after taking a long drive, they'll come back and realize that you were right. Because the devil makes people irrational towards people that have had angels charged concerning them, even though they're not yet born again. He makes the world irrational because we are one who okay, fine, so I'm born again yet. I am one day. The devil will thoroughly say, fine, so Donald Trump is not just saved, but there was an angel all up in these streets. There was an angel all up in these streets that shuffled him a certain direction and the bullet missed him. No, we have to do everything in our power, most haughtily, to like cause this man to lose respectable favor from everyone, where people ought give him favor because it just makes sense. And so while the guy was in absolute deserve, and I spoke about this in one of my other videos, of that Nobel Peace Prize that was awarded at the end of last year, or was it early this year? He didn't win it because people are just trying to not give credit where it's due. While the person who won the Nobel Peace Prize was like, Trump deserves it. You will keep on refusing to give a man honor or a woman honor purely because they are evidently chosen by God, and that decision will be irrational. Precisely because the devil will make you irrational. But your irrationality will be so bizarre and so self-afflicting, so masochistic, that you will snap out of it and just do better already. You will do better because you will be pinched by your own indecision, and you will also be pinched by your own ugly decision to just not beef up a person and try to brutally rebuff them like it's rebuff that isn't due over there, when he was just trying to make you see that come to me in the party with this, it makes sense. And then you just ignore the guy. Okay. Listen, okay. It's just as bizarre as anti-Semitism. And it's only those people that are given the right kind of spirit and a marvelous, lovely spirit, just like Joshua and Caleb had a marvelous, lovely spirit, that God will award right eyes to love the Jews no matter what. And that God will award right eyes to favor who needs favor because they are sensible. Everybody else, however, will be out here confused, their eyes nice and squint, spirals hypnotically just going and going and going. And then when they snap out of it, they're gonna be like, oh snap, I was on the wrong side of history and now I look really dumb. Now I look so dumb. But I guess I'm healed because I finally did what made sense. Oh, look at you, Dumbo, be clean now from all that dumb gunk in your brain. Yeah. People finally realize that with dumb, how rates are next. But the ones who were acting all nice and dumb in the run-up too. How sore it is a sight for eyes for you to put your tail between your ugly legs. Oh my. It's a sight for sore eyes when you finally see that Jesus Christ done handled you. Amen, you know? Yeah. So, God gave me everything I need in order to live a life in godliness.